So this rock I wrapped it with a worn, weathered washer that we found at our campsite a couple weeks ago. And so this is just a really simple wrap. You're gonna start it the same way as you've started the others by putting the caning down, wrapping it a few times, and then we're gonna weave it under and over the washer and then keep going. So I've got about 2 yards of caning for this. You don't need as much as you do for some of the other wraps. And I see my caning has a bit of a kink in it, but I'm going to try to work with it anyway. So I'm going to start, let's see, I think I'm going to have this be the top. I'm going to start on the back with the wrong side facing up, pinch it down with my thumb, turn it over, come around, and I'm actually going to come around twice on here. Actually, I'm going to come around a few times. I want to kind of see, like, where do I want the rock, or where do I want the washer in relation to the rock. I might actually want to start my caning up a little bit higher on the rock, just to give me a bit of room so that I can have caning on either side of the rock, not just under it. Just going to wrap this a few times, again just pinching it between my thumb and finger on my right hand and using my left hand to twist and turn the rock, to rotate the rock. All right, so that looks to be a good amount. On the next round, we're gonna start weaving the washer on. So actually, I'm gonna pause there, and I'm just going to get the washer on this. Now I need to just kind of pull this again so that you can see the tension loosened up just a little bit when I let it go. So I had that wrap, and it was coming around on this next turn. Kind of hold that down with my thumb and then get the washer. So I'm going under the top part of the washer, over the bottom part, wrapping this around, keeping the caning from twisting. Then I'm going to come through and go under the washer, over the top part here and under the bottom part. You might be able to just kind of use your thumbnail to pry that up, but if the washer is down and it's not enough clearance, the washer is tight against the rock and you don't have the clearance, you could use a little awl, to give yourself a little bit of space. So that'll help it go through pretty smoothly. My caning has a little kink here. I'm going to try to work with that. We'll see if it works on this wrap. I'm going to get this so that the right side is facing up. It's just a little twisted in there, so you just have to work it a bit. Kind of get the washer into place. All right, we're going around again. This time it's going to be under and then over. Again, having the awl to kind of pry that up to give you a little bit of working room, and even more importantly, to help to lift this tip up so that you can kind of pull it through. There we go. Because you want your washer to be pretty tightly woven on. Like, you don't want it to have a lot of room to wiggle around. So then that does make this a little harder. That's where my caning is kind of breaking up. All right. I think we can go through this washer one more time. So we're gonna go around again, making sure that the wraps are kind of tight together, keeping a lot of tension. We're going over and then under. That just went underneath it very nicely. Whoops. All right, I'm gonna just try to carefully pull this through so that I don't break the caning right there. Okay. Now I'm going on the back side and just trying to see what's going on right here with my little piece of caning. Kind of have that lined up so that it doesn't look broken there. Next, I'm gonna shift that next wrap. I'm gonna shift that underneath the washer. The little awl tools can come in handy there as well in terms of prying this up and helping to kind of shift over the wraps. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wraps around before I start the weaving, so I want to do the same on the other side. So that's my second, this is the third, fourth, fifth. It gets a little bit trickier here because the rock is tapering down, so when the rock is having those angles on the edges, it does get a little bit harder to have the caning stay in place. So I've got my 6 wraps there. Coming back on the other side, I'm gonna clip my caning. I'm gonna kind of pull this end, the first tail down and over to the right a little bit so that I can use this to get a spot for the, let's see. I just want the tip to come out in between 2 of these bands. There we go. I think you could see that the caning loosened up a little bit, so I had to pull it and kind of adjust that tension. I'm flipping this so that the wrong side is up, and I'm going to try to get it to slide through there. I'm going to pull it, and there you go. I've got, trim these 2, and you've got a wrapped rock with a washer on it. Now you could do that, you could do the same thing and put a button on it. So this one just had a regular button. The wrap went around it all except for that very middle strand that caught the button on there. So that's really all that's holding the button on. If you want to use a button, you can find, I've just got a few that I've thought were kind of fun to use. The trick is that you want to make sure that the hole is big enough for the cane to pass through. So I found this couple of other buttons and I liked these, and it's just big enough for the caning to pass through, but it's a tight squeeze. So that's just the consideration with buttons. You want to make sure that the buttonhole is at least the same size as your caning so that it goes through it pretty easily. So that's it for this one. Can't wait to see what you make.